You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 79. There's something about saying 79 episodes that I just totally get so giddy because this journey to creating a podcast and telling my story and showing up every week and being consistent about something is something that I take really, really a lot of pride in. And, yeah, so every week that I get to announce what episode number it is, there's this little ignition inside of me that just gets so excited that I have one more week with you, one more week of creating connection, one more week to find more women who have just been searching for a community to join after finding out that they can't become a mom. So know that I come here every week with so much excitement in my heart and so much desire to really create that connection that I so wanted at this point where you might be in your journey. And know that you're not alone. And know that if you are just finding connection for the first time, that you're not too late to get into a point in your life where you can truly thrive and feel fulfilled, even though you didn't have the children that you always dreamed of. So, before we get started, I want to let you know that tickets for the Others Day brunch are on sale. And I'm just floored by the amount of tickets that we have sold already and how many people who bought tickets this year that came last year, which is just proof that this is an event that is like no other and an opportunity to create connections with women who are feeling loss or sadness or disconnection around the Mother's Day holiday. And maybe it's because they weren't able to have the children that they always dreamed of, or maybe you're missing your mom this year. Maybe you can't be with your mom this year, or maybe you never had a mother figure in your life. And if that is you, the Others Day brunch is going on in Chicago on May 13th from noon until 3 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be catered by one of Chicago's premier chefs. All you have to do is show up and be ready to have an awesome, awesome 3 hours in your life. And who knew that the day before Mother's Day, you could actually not be wanting to be curled up on a blanket on the sofa, in your bed, feeling isolated, all these things that we have spent way too much time feeling because we were not able to have the children we always dreamed of. So I hope that you can join. Tickets are on sale at lanamanikowski.com/Others Day. Or if you go into my stories on Instagram, you can probably find a lot of information there because my social media assistants are out there just trying to create as much awareness for you so that you can have a beautiful year this year around Mother's Day. So I'm going to transition a little bit about something that has been coming up with my students and even folks that I have been talking to outside of my coaching community who are feeling very overwhelmed by how fast life seems to be going. And I don't mean the days, I don't mean the years when you look on a calendar, but I mean just all these things that are going on in life that are creating this feeling for you that you just always need to catch up, that there's always just something more for you to do, something that at the end of the day, there's just one more thing that you're thinking, I wish I would have done. And there's just a heightened level of this type of feeling of just chasing your tail or just like chasing yourself in circles and just feeling like you're not caught up. And so many people have been experiencing this. And so I thought I would talk about it this week on episode 79 of the podcast. So if you can relate, tune right in. Let's talk about how we can slow things down for ourselves in our minds so that we're not always, and you're not always feeling like you are constantly fearing that you might drop the ball on something or that you might just not get that one thing done that you thought was so important to do. And you lay in bed at night and you think, oh my gosh, I've got to remember to do that first thing in the morning. And then first thing in the morning comes, and then the whole flurry of other things shows up for you. So I'm going to offer you some opportunity to maybe create a little sense of calmness in your life by doing these few things. And what it is something that has really, really been helpful for me. Because I think for a long time, I was used to being able to feel like I could just be in control of things, no matter what came at me, no matter what was going on. I just was able to juggle a bunch of things. And I don't know if it's increased connection because of this new cellular era that you're always on your phone, or you're always accessible, or you're always maybe checking work emails. And there's always something that's coming into your mind and adding on to your to-do list. And so when you wake up in the morning, I'm going to give you a few pointers of what you might be able to do to create a little bit of clarity for yourself. And so this is something I call a brain dump. And when you do a brain dump in the morning, you are just getting everything out of your mind onto a piece of paper that has to be done. Now, you can do this daily. Some people might want to start out doing this weekly. And when you get all these things out of your mind and onto paper, you're giving yourself and your brain just a little bit of breathing room. And your brain doesn't need to constantly feel like it's in high stress mode because you might forget something, because what you're doing is writing it down and you're giving the brain some opportunity to just release this grasp it has on this task that it's afraid that you might forget. And now that it's on paper, you might not feel as much anxiousness about remembering all those things. So find maybe 5 minutes every morning and just brain dump in the morning of all the things that have been looming either from yesterday or the day before, or something that you woke up thinking, or maybe looked at your calendar and thought, oh, I got to remember to do this before this meeting, or I have to remember to call this person, or I have to remember to buy a birthday present or send a birthday card for this person. So literally, it doesn't have to be just work things or a specific genre of things. It could just be anything that is looming in your mind. When you write it down, it's giving yourself a little bit of freedom to let go of that thought. And then you're going to go through the list and you're going to choose, maybe start with 3 things. What are 3 things that are imperative that you accomplish today? Could be anything. Could be one of the easiest things or one of the things that you've been putting off because it's been taking a lot of brain power. And so circle those things. Make sure that those are the things that you prioritize first thing for the day, and that you make sure that no matter what happens, when you close up for the day or go to bed for the night, you can confidently have chosen 3 things to have finished off your list. And then you're going to start to create evidence for yourself that if you let your mind breathe by putting these tasks out on paper, and you pick just 3 things, again, simple to complex, up to you, and you prove to yourself every day that you're able to accomplish at least 3 things, your mind is going to start to feel less clogged with things to do. And you're going to stop feeling like you're always in this circle of worrying that you're going to forget something, or worried that you might drop the ball on something, or that something that was so important that you just had to do, that you won't have to worry about forgetting these things because you're doing a daily check-in with yourself. And so then at the end of the day, take a look at your list. You know that you accomplished those 3 things. If you're anything like me, you might like to check it off your list or put a line through it just to say it's done. And then look at the other things. Maybe you just, without even thinking, have accomplished more things on your list. So start to cross those things off. And then decide, what do you want to keep on your list for tomorrow? So before you go to bed for the night, or before you say close down your computer or your laptop for the day, your work day. Start to create your list for tomorrow. Take anything that you didn't get to that was on that list today and put it on tomorrow's list. And then when you wake up in the morning, your brain is going to not be in panic mode to have to remember something that's a huge laundry list, because you're just going to have this continuous list that is ever changing and ever growing and diminishing and allowing you to feel accomplished, because you're going to have some sort of plan for yourself. So if you're feeling very overwhelmed, I recommend you do this and you take this practice and maybe start by doing it twice a week, once a week, whatever feels comfortable for you. But when you start somewhere and start to build evidence for yourself, you'll see it's not really that hard, and that your body can finally feel like it can breathe again. Because it's definitely, I'm not someone who's into like the moon and the location of the moon. If you are, I would love to know your take on this, but something about maybe like the energy that's going on. But there are so many of my students who are feeling very overwhelmed right now and just feeling like there's just this whirlwind of things to do. And I appreciate that. There are days that I feel that way too. And I love that I have these opportunities to share these practices with you that you can try in your own daily life. And I truly want to know, what did you think about it? Was it helpful to you? Let me know. I love getting comments and DMs. I love getting reviews about the podcast. How does it help you? What do you want to hear more of? What do you need to hear more of in order to create a life that you can thrive and feel fulfilled, even though you didn't have the children you always dreamed of? So have a beautiful week. Know that I love you. Don't forget to get your tickets to the Others Day, May 13th. And remember, it is never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.